we have some video to show you. I'm going to be in one of the video segments, am I not?
Yeah, I didn't edit you.
Oh, good. She didn't edit me out. She wanted to, but she didn't. But I was going to start with another piece of advice to kind of get the ball rolling here this morning. How many of you remember Bill Beck? Anybody? Okay. For those of you who don't, Bill Beck owned the Cleveland Indians in 1948, the last time they won the World Series. He also owned the St. Louis Browns and the Chicago White Sox on a couple of occasions, and he earned a reputation as being a very strong promoter. And he planted the ivy at Wrigley Field. He was the first owner to put the names on the backs of the uniforms of players. He had the exploding scoreboard. He sent a midget up to bat in St. Louis. But I had the pleasure of interviewing him once, and when we talked, drawing 1 million people to the ballpark in a given year was still the gold standard. If you drew 1 million people, you had a good year. And we were talking, and he gave me some advice that he was talking about baseball, but it's really applicable to all of business. And he said, you have to remember, when you draw 1 million people to the ballpark in a season, it's not 1 million different people. Anybody can get them to come once. The trick is to get them to come back. And that applies, I think, for all of us, for clients and whatever else, and for not-for-profit donors and so on and so forth. So, that's my first piece of advice today.
And getting you off the podium would be...
The other piece of advice is, when you look at Clough, think E equals MC squared.
Thanks, Jimmy. Hey, before getting started, I want to thank a few folks for helping us this year, past month, and I want to give a nice applause. I don't know if Bonnie Spiegel's up here. You know, we couldn't do these forums without the Plain Dealer and their great people, Karen West, who does our ads, and Steve Garrett. Bonnie is great. By the way, if you need to do an event somewhere, the Plain Dealer really, this is a great underused resource in town. They have great facilities, great people, highly recommended. Also want to thank Virginia Marty College of Art and Design and Jeff Clough, who is here somewhere over here. Jeff and his digital media students helped us with videos this year. And last, Jeff, thanks. Appreciate the support. I also want to thank our great team from NOCA. I don't see John Fania here this morning, but Kate Hawk is here, Bill Stella, and of course Jim. Thank you. Kate, you've got an upcoming event at IABC. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure.
Stand up here.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
I'm not relinquishing the podium, but
I don't need a microphone. I'll try to shout.
we know.
Well, I hope you all can come. June 9th, IABC is hosting their new take on their Vision Awards. I don't know if any of you have gone there in the past, but for 15 years they did the Vision Awards where they awarded professionals with different awards, and they decided to do something new this year. And instead of the lunchtime 2-hour drawn-out award ceremony, they're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit more fun. It gives you more opportunity for networking, and it's an event called Reach for the Top, and our Communicator of the Year that we chose is actually here today, Bruce. Thank you very much. We are honored. And he will be honored that night, June 9th as well. So I have a couple of flyers here. The venue is really cool. It's at the rooftop of the Velvet Dog, so let's hope for sun and come out and have a cocktail.
Cool. Thanks, Kate. Bridget Space is here from the Plain Dealer, and Lou, Shirley Steinman, why don't you, as the highest-ranking PD person here, why don't you welcome us to...
Welcome everyone to the Plain Dealer. We're thrilled that you're here, and as always, we're looking forward to a wonderful NOCA Forum Talk this morning.
Thanks, Bridget. Bridget's my paper girl.
That's why I'm late.
She's my neighbor. I complain when I don't get my paper. Anyway, the other announcement is anyone interested in joining my team for Ride United Cycling. The event is on June 5th, and the girls from Grumpy's Restaurant and I are teaming up to cycle. I think I'm doing 24 miles, and hopefully Barry will join us. Great cycler. So, down to business. Our topic today is advice. And we're a society engulfed in advice on virtually every subject of substance and then some. We spend billions of dollars advising each other on how to run our lives, our children's lives, our businesses, our households, our investments, our marketing and communications. Many of the people in this room, including myself, make a living dispensing advice and counsel. So we thought it would be fun to end our season sharing stories about the power of good and bad advice given and the impact on our personal lives, our careers, and our businesses. We also want to relate some humorous consequences, and if time permits today, we want to discuss why we're so prone to pursue advice in the first place, techniques for effectively dispensing it, and the kind of advice that really sticks with us. To help us in this task, we've assembled a terrific panel of seasoned advice givers. Bruce Hennis is here. Now, Bruce is the person you would immediately call if you get a knock on the door and you hear Mike Wallace's voice saying the 60 Minutes film crew is outside, we're looking to interview, or the FBI is investigating your business or any other crisis communication needs. He's, of course, a managing partner with Hennis Painter Communication. You know, Susan Elder is here. She's the Chief Marketing Officer of the American Red Cross, another group that deals with crises and disasters and a whole variety of other humanitarian needs. We're happy you're here, Susan. Thank you. And then, of course, our good friend Tom Moore is here, Moore and Associates. Tommy has been cheerfully advising on all matters of advertising the past 25 years, clients large and small, and if you need a little golf advice on total, or you need an extra person for your foursome, you know, see Tom after the meeting. You know,
Keep your head still.
That's right.
Keep your eye on the ball.
So to prime the pump for our discussion today, my sidekick Lisa Ryan and I were out last week, and we interviewed marketing communications folks around town. And the first segment of 6 interviews is coming up right now. No, it's not. Oh, it's not. Oh, you're right. This is going to be the end. All right, here's the quintessential piece of advice. On your ad, when we negotiate for ad rates over at Cleveland Magazine, maybe you could keep that in. Right. All right, so why don't we start? That gives us a little idea. Susan, ladies first. Susan Elder's going to kick off the discussion. Let's talk about great advice, the impact on your life and business. Start with you.
Well, I've certainly received a lot of great advice over the years, and many of it has come from some of my direct supervisors in past positions who ended up really becoming mentors to me. And back, one of my early jobs out of college, I worked for Sherwin-Williams, and my supervisor back then was Sally Dom, who was the Director of Corporate Communications. And I remember Sally impressing on me in working with vendors and with just really with anyone in general that I would come in contact with, that Cleveland is a small business community in effect. And kind of, you're going to run into the same people over and over. And back then when I was 25 years old, it didn't have the same impact to me as it does now that I'm significantly older than 25 years. I won't tell you how old. But along those lines, the piece of advice that she gave me was then don't burn bridges, because you will end up coming into contact with folks over and over and over in your business career. And I remember after I left Sherwin-Williams and subsequently went on to a position in later years at Invacare Corporation, I had an experience working with a vendor who did not like the fact that I bid out the business and then chose to go with another vendor that came in with a better overall package. And that particular vendor then proceeded to contact and go over my head to our CFO, and even wrote a letter to one of the board members that he knew, questioning my decision. And I really was shocked, could not believe that happened, but it again reinforced for me that you don't want to burn your bridges, because I, at some point, could have possibly gone back to that vendor again. I, would routinely bid out certain pieces of business, and he would have had an opportunity again to have worked with the company. But because that stuck with me of how he went over my head, he really did burn the bridge with me. And subsequently, I never did do business with him again. So that's always been a piece of advice that has stuck with me, is don't burn your bridges, particularly in a smaller community like Cleveland, where so many people have been around for so many years, and relationships are intertwined and really do matter.
Tom, we've been on the Ad Association board for years, and we share lunch every 2 months with our investment guy, and graciously buys lunch to dispense advice to it. Why don't you tell us some of your experience?
Yeah, he gives the advice and he buys.
Yeah, it's great. We like that guy a lot.
Well, my first thing here is advice on how to give advice, and the moral here is you should listen first. And there was a time my brother-in-law came to me, and he was about 30 at the time, I guess, and he was kind of an old career crisis, and he said, Jay, I don't know what to do. Can you talk to me about it? And he was a blue-collar kind of a guy, so I wasn't going to talk to him about the advertising business, but I figured, well, I know my way around plants, probably a little better overview than he does, so I started talking about all the different departments and the career paths and, and some of the stuff, and then after about 5 minutes, he just stops me, he goes, Tom, those are inside jobs, aren't they? And I guess I've been watching too many movies, I'm thinking inside job, talking about the mafia or something. He's like, you have to be inside to do them. I like to be outside. And I realized, wow, I didn't ask the right question first. I just wasted 5 minutes of his time, and next time I'm not going to make that mistake. So always ask a few questions first to make sure you understand that which somebody's asking advice about.
Great, Tom. All right, Bruce, you're up. The Cleveland region's premier crisis communicator. So.
I have 2 pieces of advice that I want to share with you. The first one is the best advice I have been given that I didn't take. I wish somebody had taken me aside when I was a younger person to tell me, pay yourself first. The concept of pay yourself first. Somebody tried to teach me that when I was younger, and I said, wait a minute, I'm 22 years old, I'm 23 years old, I'm making $22,000 a year. I got a couple of kids. I can't pay my bills now. How am I going to put money away? First, and he sat me down, he said, you pay yourself first. You set aside 5% of your income, 10% of your income, make it a bill, make it a piece of paper that you pay first. You pay your electric bill, you pay your gas bill, whatever the case may be, pay yourself every month, and somehow you will find a way to live on what's left. And I ignored that advice, said I could not do that. Well, the problem, I really didn't do that, and now the power of compounding, which I think was Albert Einstein said the 2 most powerful forces in the universe are the power of gravity, all right, and the power of compound interest. All right. Think about it. Compound interest is very, very powerful. But when you get to be my age, and your age, but not yours yet, the power of compound interest doesn't work anymore because we don't have, seriously, all kidding aside, we don't have enough time. But I taught that concept to my daughter. My daughter started putting money away when she was 21 years old, right out of college. So while all her friends were drinking their paychecks, in their early 20s and into their 30s, when she turned, I think, 28, 29 years old, she had $30,000 in the bank because she had paid herself first.
Does she date older men?
She married a lawyer, so what can I tell you? Like I said, that was the best advice I've ever been given that I didn't take. But the best advice that I did take, let me back up a little bit. I opened my own firm in 1989, and for 13 years we were probably one of the best full-service public relations firms that none of you ever heard about. Hennis, Hazlitt, and Associates. We took everything that came to the door. You got a new office opening, we did that. You got a restaurant, you have a new product, whatever came to the door, we took. Mike White came to us, somewhere in the middle of his, I think his second term, and said, look, I just got control of the Cleveland Public Schools. I want you guys to find me my new CEO for the Cleveland Schools, our new superintendent. And I said, Mike, we're not a search firm. And he goes, I know. And I said, Mike, we're not a search firm. He says, you're not listening to me. If you knew anything about Mike White,